East of the sun, west of the moon.
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Reno-based veteran jazz singer CeCe Gable on upcoming 2022 New York City shows. She is a wonderful person and a great friend of Neon Jazz, along with being the embodiment of so much grand action going on and the revival of jazz in America. She is going to have her first shows in New York City on November 16th at Pangea and Jazz Forum at Tarrytown on November 20th. She will also have the chance to celebrate the legendary Sheila Jordan's upcoming birthday in person. We get into all of this and so much more. Dig it.
I'm so glad you reached out, and it's on my end of things. I'm so relieved to have musicians and singers that are finally getting out and doing live shows. That's happening for you. So talk to me a little bit about this itinerary and how it came about.
The pandemic was a difficult time for so many of us, but somehow I managed to do the work with Harvey S. and get two CDs produced in 2020 and 2022, but we never really got to celebrate the music and share it with anybody. It was fun to do the projects. It gave us all something to do during a really difficult time, but we never got to play together. And so I'm not exactly sure how this came about. I think that it started with my last visit to New York, where I got to go to the Jazz Forum and hear Houston person. And I was talking to Mark Morganelli, the owner of the club, who was actually part of this pizza hang that we did on Fridays during COVID with his wife, Ellen, and a group of New York people who I met when I had been recording. I was at his place, Jazz Forum, and he said, "CeCe, you need to sing here." I said, "Yes, I do, Mark. Let's make a date." And so the date was available November 20th, Sunday, November 20th, which is a significant date in my life because I usually have a big music party on that day to celebrate the feast day of St. Cecilia, the patron saint of music. And it has become a big cult party here in Reno. But I was reluctant to have a big party like that again this year. And when he said that date was available, I said, okay, I'll take it. You know, thinking that, of course, that's going to be a great day for a concert. And for my first appearance in New York, as doing a concert, that would be a really fun time to do it. So anyway, that's how that one came about. And then I happened to talk to the editor-publisher of New York Jazz Record, whose name is Lawrence. He asked if I was doing anything else in New York, and I said, no, I'm not, but do you have any recommendations? So his suggestion was Pangea, and that's how that gig came about. And so Pangea is a club on 2nd Avenue. They do a lot of they promote a lot of singers, and I'm happy to have that gig. And that will be November 16th, and that will be the first gig in Manhattan that I've ever done. And I'll be with Harvey S., bass, and Ronnie Ben-Hur on the guitar, Matt Wilson on drums, and we all recorded together on the last CD that we did called Next Year's Song. So that's how it came about. It was just sort of serendipitous. Things just fell into place, and I'm really excited to have this opportunity to play with the guys that I've only recorded with. So gigs are always fun, especially when you have that kind of camaraderie, and we had that, and so I'm looking forward to doing that again.
Speaking of serendipity, I mean, that's almost what a jazz gig is anyways, but the fact that it's going to be in New York and it's the first show, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, don't say it like that, Joe, because it can be exhilarating or panic-inducing. And so I'm somewhere in between that. It's like, well, I know it's going to be great music. I love playing with these guys, and everybody's into it, and it's just another gig, except it is in New York, and New York is kind of the center of everything. And so I'm really excited to be able to be part of that energy that I've wanted. I like that New York energy. I plug into it right away. As soon as I get there, I'm like nonstop. And it is really the city where no one sleeps, and that includes me when I'm there. I just run from one thing to another, and then I come back to Reno, go right up to Lake Tahoe, sit there looking at the water, the sky, and the mountains with my dog, and then I can find peace again. But when I'm in New York, I'm a whirlwind.
And that's
fun.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. You know, and the thing about your trip is I keep asking musicians, what do you see from your vantage point as far as the jazz community coming back? Like, how do you see this, you know, resuscitation, this phoenix rising? But I think your gigs are indicative of that. These things that are tying, you know, cross-coastal things are really a part of jazz coming back.
I hope so. I'll tell you, it's been really difficult. Last night, I did a concert here in Reno, and it was great to have an audience to share the music with. And I think we all felt that way, that we missed that interaction with each other and the joy of performance and sharing music. It's been really difficult. So now we're just, I think, coming back into it, and you know, it's freedom to be able to be in a place and perform without a mask, you know, which is difficult for a singer to do anyway. So we just feel so much more open, and I think that openness is extending everywhere. So the way I feel about New York is everything is opening up. People are ready and wanting to go back to live music in clubs, and hopefully concerts and touring and festivals and people feeling free and safe to go to those events will be a thing that's just going to keep building, because, you know, we miss it and we love it. So we need to keep doing it.
I've been hearing a lot, and I've seen, too, here in Kansas City, the attention to the musicians, the way that the crowds are interacting, and the amount of people that are coming out is resoundingly positive. I don't know that this is going to be a fleeting thing. I really feel like we've been jolted into an appreciation of this art form in a way, hopefully, that is more broad than it was before the pandemic began.
I agree with that. I think that people have a new awareness of what's important in their lives, and that the thing about jazz and saying that it's serendipitous, it's so improvisational, and it's kind of the way we had to roll during COVID. We had to just take it and make the best of it. And you know, there's that theater axiom, yes and, you know, you never say no I can't. It's always yes and, you know, what are you going to do to keep it going? And we need to keep it going. We just need to say yes to whatever it is that we want to accomplish, and know that we can do it. You know, we can go out and support those people. We can create if we need to create. There are people around who want to support you doing what you need to do, which is so important in the arts. You know, I think about, as I said last night, I did a concert at Sierra Arts Foundation, and I was very fortunate to receive a grant from them during the COVID time to help produce this last CD. And that kind of support, monetary support, is so important. Giving your time or your energy or financially contributing to who you value in your community is so important. And, you know, musicians were the first ones to lose all their jobs right away. Couldn't do it. You know, you can't go out. So, I mean, people were maybe working from home and creating new music or recording at home, you know, which is also kind of strange, because somehow I was able to get to New York and do these 2 recordings, even during this pandemic. And believe me, I was really concerned about COVID, very concerned, but we were also conscientious about it too. So I feel very fortunate that we got through it without too much trouble. It's like when it's all over, you forget how bad it was, but it really was difficult, wasn't it?
Yeah. I remember a lot of conversations I had early on with musicians, and probably one of the starkest conversations I had was with Al Di Meola, and he's one of those guys that constantly performs, and I could just feel the pain in his voice. And he at one point equated what we're going through with cancer. We've all been told that we have it. We all have to go through the treatment. We have to go through the remission, and then we have to go through, the coming back. And, it's been really wild. And that's how I started this conversation. For me, the amount of voices and stories that I've heard over this pandemic that have been absolutely crazy, I am so relieved to hear that my conversation now can be, hey, what gigs do you have coming up? Whereas before it was, how fast did those gigs go away? It's a stark contrast. But you're right. We all have gotten to the point now where we're like, maybe it's PTSD. And that's another aspect of this, that getting back to regular life has been a jolt, and we do tend to forget, like with 9/11 and other things, like sometimes we just kind of lose sight. So, but I think with jazz, with what we're doing with live music and as performers, I think that there's something different now that is going to stick.
Yeah, it's deeper, isn't it? I mean, I get this sense of deep importance and the need to express in the music the joy of being able to come back and do this, and that really passes on to the audience. You really have that sense of connecting at the level that is like more intimate, because we all went through this horrible experience together wherever we were. Even if we didn't know each other, we were all dealing with it. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. So the material you'll be using on these shows comes from these two albums during the pandemic. Tell everybody where's the best place to pick up the music and get tickets and anything that might be coming up future-wise for you.
Well, thank you for asking, Joe. The songs will be from the last two albums. The first one, More Than a Song, and the second, Next Year's Song. They are available on my website, CeCeGable.com, or on the website also you can find out about purchasing digital recordings through Bandcamp, which is the thing that I prefer, because I think Bandcamp is very favorable to the artist, and we like to support the arts that way. And hard copy, just mail your request to me and I can send it out. And tickets are available for Pangea. That information is on the website, and also for Jazz Forum. Pangea is November 16th, one show only, and Jazz Forum in Tarrytown is November 20th, two shows, 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And you can go to either their websites or my website and find ticket information there. And tell them Joe sent you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
CeCe, it's always wonderful to catch up with you. I love the way you roll and how all of it's coming together. So good luck with the trip. Good luck with, the albums, the future projects. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Good luck to you, too. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest singers in Reno, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to CeCe for her time, music, and cool. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends. I want to tip you off to a wonderful program I found out about. As we expand our reach, we have made some friends out there in the world that love jazz as much as we do. This program is fully endorsed by Neon Jazz.
Gerald Albright, Rhea Schneider, Charlie Hunter, Duke Robillard, Sean Jones, Walter Beasley, Steve Swallow. Something Came from Baltimore is a jazz, blues, and R&B podcast and radio show, and it's not really about Baltimore. Subscribe to the podcast and listen to your favorite artist or future favorite artist. That's Something Came from Baltimore. And be a part of that Be More music scene. Joe Lovano, Jeff Compton, Paula Cole, Danuzo Makatani, Ann Passio, Ches Smith, Thumbscrew.
Neon Jazz.